think you know me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of BroBanter SFL Week 6 matchups. I'm your host, KooGZ, presented by the KooGZacrate and Kronic. We're going to dive right in. We've got a couple guests here on the line. Going to do a quick recap from last week. Last week, one of our guests tonight beat me, Kingston. Steve lost to Matt. Matt had a very good week with 182 points to 170 points for Steve, which was a crazy week. James defeated Beers with Royal Sauce. James did put up a lot of points. Daddy Longlegs put up 175. A lot of high scoring games last week. Illegal Drug Pushers and Eric defeated Mike Houck and the Pied Piper, 145 to 90. Machine Gun Mike beat Burger King Tacos with the name change. Rocco, 117 to 90, and Romer, the Lone Star Regime, defeated the Street Use and Brett Boyer, 114 to 78. Very low scoring matchup for two of the higher ranked members of the league. So we got some guests here. We got Romer. He's really white right now on the camera. What's up, Romer?
What's up, man? Happy to be back. Honored to be the first recurring guest. So thanks for having me. I will tell you, after this big win against Brett Boyer, it is very nice to go look at the standings and you see yourself at top. So hoping to keep that momentum for the rest of the season. But thanks for having me, Coach.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. We also have Alex Kingston, who was once trying to be a guest, and we had some technical difficulties and lost the video.
I'm kind of a recurring guest. But yeah, I would say, Kook, thanks for having me. I think you really assembled a powerhouse lineup here, having the 1 and 2 teams. So obviously we know we can see everything from the top and see how everyone's doing. So I think we'll get some good perspective here.
So we're going to dive right into our first matchup of the week. We are going to go to Brett Boyer in the Street Use versus Burger King Tacos in Rocco. I'm going to start with Romer. Romer, how do you feel about this matchup?
Good. Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to Brett Boyer. By the time this airs, it will be his 30th birthday. So big milestone there for Brett. So happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, Brett.
So, looking at this matchup, it's from a projection standpoint, it looks pretty one-sided. I think Brett is favored by around 25 points. So we'll see how it actually shakes out. Brett didn't have the best week last week. He had 2 goose eggs with Mike Evans and Greg Olson. So those guys will probably bounce back, especially Evans. Don't know how to, I think Tyler Lockett should continue his success from Brett's side. He's kind of on to this year. Don't know how Scary Terry's going to do, but he is playing Miami, so there is hope there. I mean, talk about a fun real game of the week with Miami and the Redskins. But, Zeke's got a favorable matchup against the Jets, Ingram against Cincinnati, so, I'm feeling confident Brett will have a bounce-back week this week. But, I love Rocco's team name change, taking a little shot at himself with the Burger King Tacos. Great move. Could pay dividends. And, he's got a solid team. It's been underperforming. Love his wide receiver depth. He's starting Jason Witten this week, so a little desperate at the tight end position. But I think Rivers will do well against Pittsburgh as well. So I think he'll beat his projection, but I think Brett's team is a little too strong. So Brett will get his birthday week win here and get back on track. I'm going Brett.
All right, taking Brett. Thinking Rocco's not going to be able to put up the firepower to keep up. I'm going to have to agree. I mean, Brett has Zeke. There's no way Mike Evans is not scoring. Again, it's just not going to happen. So I'm going with Brett as well. Kingston, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, I'll go Romo with a happy birthday, Brett. I think you draw a pretty good matchup here. I agree. I think Rocco's got really good receiver depth, and Rivers is a solid fantasy play. He just really struggles losing both Giants running backs, really. And and his fill-ins aren't really helping him out. But I think Rocco will put up a better fight than the projections suggest. But yeah, I think Brett has just too many good matchups. His running backs are strong. Olsen's been playing well. Baltimore could put up a big week against Cincy's anemic offense. So I'm going with Brett. I think he's going to get the nice birthday win, and I think you could see a big bounce back week from guys like Devontae Freeman, who have good matchups, and Tyler Lockett's just been out of his mind. So I could see some big points this week, and I think Rocco's in a must. he's in a must win here. He's 1-4. I could see it pretty tough if he falls to 1-5 to climb back up. And compete, especially with all the mid-level teams out there that are hovering around 500. So he needs, especially with his point total. So we'll see. Rocco could surprise. He's got solid receivers, and his quarterback and receivers could carry his team. But we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right.
And I see Rocco is still starting Houston defense against KC in KC. So not quite sure what he's thinking there, but we'll see if he changes that in the next couple of days because. Probably not the best move over there.
All right. So I kind of like to just randomly ask. So I'm Romer. I'm going to ask you to give me one stud from this matchup that you think is going to really perform this week in this matchup. One stud from this matchup.
Okay. I think Adam Thielen, has been playing well. He played well last game. After he kind of went on record and started bitching about the Vikings not passing the ball enough, you could definitely see that Cousins was making an effort to get to him, to get things a little bit. So I think going against a stout Philly defense, in terms of run defense, they're going to be forced to pass the ball a little bit more. I think they're going to continue passing more due to wide receivers being a little bit unhappy. So I'll point out Adam Thielen here as a big playmaker this week.
All right, so your stud this week is going to be in this matchup, Adam Thielen. Kingston, looking at this matchup, pick out one dud that you think is going to be in this matchup.
Oh, they're in for a loop. So I actually think Zeke is going to be a dud this week.
Oh, okay.
Not because his team. I think the Jets have a better run defense than they're probably getting credit for, and I think game flow might dictate Zeke gets more carries.
Okay.
But I could see it happening where they end up just throwing the ball, or they have an easier time throwing the ball, and they end up kind of not phasing him out, but he might not hit 20 points. Maybe he's more in like the 10 to 12 range, which I think for a caliber running back as Zeke, that could be a little bit of a disappointment.
All right.
You might see some Tony Pollard too if the game's getting out of control.
Right. Absolutely. So my sleeper in this matchup is...
So let me say, I think the Jets actually keep it closer than people expect them to. I think they're going to be pretty fired up at home, and this is a pretty big matchup. Cowboys have been good, but I could see them ready for this, and I could see them surprising people in this matchup.
Okay, I like it. So I'm gonna go with my sleeper in this matchup. And I think my sleeper in this matchup, it's really hard. I guess I just gotta go Phillip Rivers. Pittsburgh is trash. He's gonna have a good game. Get on track. Him, Keenan Allen. So we're gonna have a nice little duo there. All right, so. Romer, you're sitting at your house right now. Are you in like your guest room or something?
Yeah, I'm in the man cave, dude.
You're in the man cave?
Yeah.
Where's the Packers gear, dude?
On the walls. It's kind of a weird angle right here, but it's. I had to turn all my lights off because it was too bright, so you can't see anything. Okay?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, so you're chilling in your man cave. It's a Wednesday night. You're hanging out at Google Hangouts with two of your bros. You're gonna pick a matchup that you want to talk about. Which matchup are you calling out right now?
Okay, well, I think it's a big matchup here. It's probably floating a little under the radar.
Okay.
Definitely not a game of the week candidate, but I'm gonna call out the Anchovies and the King in the North. I think two teams that have some firepower on their teams, both out of the playoff picture currently, but one of these teams I think could emerge to kind of sneak into the playoffs and potentially make some noise. But the loser is again taking that one step back and one step closer to being out of the playoffs. So King of the North and anchovies. Let's go to that.
King of the North and the anchovies. All right. So let's start with Alex's take on this matchup. Kingston?
Yeah. So I think we'll start with Matt's side of this. I think he's done, obviously, he's the trade machine over here, and he's
trade master,
building a pretty balanced, solid. He doesn't have many guys that are gonna just absolutely blow up, or if he does, that's great. But he has a lot of solid, high floor, consistent players that kind of. And last week was testament to that. Every guy in defense pretty much averaged like 20 points, and he put up a very good week. So I think Matt has built a very good team here. He's really spun some of his trade and capital into more better guys or consistent guys. So credit to him. Obviously, he sits at 2-3. Both you guys are kind of in the same boat here. Keegan, I think you have some underperforming guys here. I think Beckham has kind of been somewhat of a disappointment for you.
Absolutely.
Christian Kirk as well. I think he's been he had a lot of hype coming out, and he's still pretty solid. Maybe more of a flex guy than a receiver too, but you're limited. You have some buys. You got Pettis, who's just terrible.
It's pretty bad.
And you have some tough guys, some tough backups. So your flex is limited as well. But I think Keegan, this is a bigger game for you than I think a lot of people realize, because Tyreek Hill is in a tough spot. I think trading for him, he's playing Sunday, game time decision. It could be tough to plug somebody in there that's going to be able to match what he can put out. And who knows? He hasn't even really been cleared for contact yet. So throwing somebody out there that has an injury like that could be dangerous. Who knows if one little hit might end his season. And the looming doubt of when he's going to actually play will be tough. And Beckham's on a bye next week. So you're already kind of, this is almost, I don't want to say it's a must win because I don't want to throw it out there too readily, but if you fall to 2-4 in this, it's going to be tough to claw your way out. So I will say,
I agree.
I think this is a bigger game for you than you realize. But that said, I still think it's going to be a good matchup. I'm going to take Matt in a very close game.
Ooh.
I think it'll probably be in the 130 to 129 range or so, maybe high 120s.
Okay.
But it'll be decided by only a few points.
All right. So Kingston's going to take Matt by a point or two. Romer, what's your weighing on this?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Kingston here. I think, Matt, after all these trades, has definitely improved his team. And, the latest trade, or one, I don't know, I lose track at this point, but the Edelman and Hooper and Tyreek Hill trade, these guys are all colliding this week. So I don't know if I necessarily trust Tyreek Hill. Like Kingston said, does he play? Is he going to be a decoy? How much, action is he really going to see? Kind of tough. And then if he doesn't play, going to Kingston's point, you're going to be starting Dante Pettis again. And that's just bad news written all over that. So don't love that. Beckham's not been playing well. Baker's getting a ton of heat. I do like Kyler Murray, actually. I think, he kind of broke out last week, started to run the ball a little bit more, playing Atlanta. That's a favorable matchup at home. So I think he'll step up and kind of build on, the success he had last week. I don't hate Jordan Howard either. I heard Doug Peterson actually came out and said that they're going to give him the ball a little bit more. Miles Sanders, I don't know what to think about him. So Howard might get a little bit more action, but obviously he's not big in the pass game, so he's limited to a certain degree. So, to kind of relaying up what Kingston said, Matt's team is just stable. Cooper Kupp's a stud. Russell Wilson is a stud. Boyd is good in his role with AJ Green still being out, John Ross being injured as well. Edelman had a big week going against the Giants this week, so that's nice. I think Matt takes us down, and I think it's
all right.
15-point victory, to be honest.
15-point victory, to be honest. All right. So both you guys are going to take Matt. It is what it is. So it's like,
music?
do I have any anchovies music? You just wait and see,
No, I said, is
bro.
that what you're doing?
You just wait and see, dog. So both of them are gonna take. All right, so all right, so both of them are gonna take. Both of them are gonna take Matt Steph. This is gonna be Matt this weekend. That's fucking right. The anchovies are going to take him down. I do agree with Kingston, though. It is a very close matchup. I do like what Matt did with his team. Cooper Kupp is a stud. Russell Wilson's been a stud. Tyler Boyd, not sold on. Julian Edelman, solid floor. He's going to get catches every week. He's Tom Brady's favorite target. Leonard Fournette, not sold on Leonard Fournette. Adrian Peterson, Austin Hooper, love Hooper. Traded him to Matt. Hamid Sanu, he was trying to trade me earlier. Some really bad trade offers, Matt. And then Los Angeles Rams defense. I think it's going to be a very close matchup. I'm going to score points with Kyler Murray. Going to get Gurley and Derrick Henry going early and often. I just like my team. I think Jordan Howard is going to get in the end zone a couple times. Maybe not. I don't know. He's their second running back. I did read some things that he's starting to become their starting running back. But we'll see what happens there. But I'm going to obviously take myself in this one. And I still think I got the better of that trade. We got to see what happens with Tyreek Hill at this point. So that leaves us with some other matchups to go into. So Kingston's just, he's chilling at home right now. He's got Bruce walking around. There's a couple matchups that are not the game of the week or the Buns matchup of the week. So Kingston, you're just hanging out. You're looking, you're a little bored maybe, and you want to dive into a matchup, kind of dissect it. Which matchup are you gonna lean towards?
All right, so I'm gonna go with a matchup that, on its surface, actually, there's two matchups that don't really look great on their surface, but I think I'll start with me and Doug.
Okay. So the Brentwood Bombers versus Beers with Rosas, 2nd versus 11th,
Yeah.
1-4 versus 4-1.
So I'm gonna start with this one because I wanna say I think me and the guys were talking a bit after last week's victory. Yahoo doesn't seem to really like us with their projections, and obviously I'm a little biased being the coach, but I think we're fighting. We see the headlines, we see what's saying about us, we see that they're barely projecting us to break 100 points every week, but I think our guys, we have a good group of guys. We know what we're doing. We're hungry. We're focused every week. We find matchups. We start the right guys, and I'm points aside, we show up and we play and we win the games in our schedule. And I'm fine sitting there at 4-1, 2nd place, and I'm confident going into this week that our guys, even though we're 10, 15 point underdogs, we're going to go in there and get another victory against Doug. So that's just my little pregame speech. And I talked to the guys earlier. We were all fired up. We were chest bumping. But bias aside, I think Doug has some very good pieces. I think he had a hell of a week last week. Unfortunately, he fell to James, who had an even bigger week. Will Fuller, I think, comes back down to earth a little bit, though he has a really plus matchup with Kansas City. Robert Woods is solid. He's kind of in the same boat as I have with Brandon Cooks, where they're kind of, they're middle of the road guys. I think they get you a consistent floor, but they're not really blown up for much more than what they're giving you.
Okay.
Landry's been a big surprise. I think he's been better than people were expecting. And he has some solid running backs. I could see Michelle having a nice week against the Giants. Kelsey in a very plus matchup, who might come up later for me. And David Johnson's been playing well too. So it could be tough. I think Doug's got some very good starters. I think his bench is very short. He could get hit with the bye bug whenever that comes around for him, but he's got a solid team. But I'm confident, and I think I'm gonna. Romer touched on Miles Sanders a bit. he's been consistently outpacing his projections, and he's a good pass catching guy, and I like those because they're not going away. Howard obviously gets the goal line touches, so it's tough to get a lot of touchdowns with him, but you got to kind of just expect they're going to consistently feed him enough passes that he's going to cover his share of the points if you're considering him flex. So it's tough week. I think Doug has a good 1-4 team. I think comparing him to Rocco is night and day. I think Doug's got a lot of upside guys, but he's just got to put it together. And unfortunately, he drew a poor opponent last week, or good opponent as far as the matchups go. So
all right,
so we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be good.
See how it goes. So you're gonna pick obviously you're choosing yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta.
Yeah.
Ready to run through. It'd be pretty embarrassing if you didn't. So I'm gonna jump in on this one real quick. You did beat me last week. It was a good fight. Odell didn't step up to the plate. But I gotta be honest. I think your team is just gonna start falling to the bottom. I think you're gonna have enough to get to the playoffs, and then you're gonna need people to come alive. But you have the potential. I just don't see it right now. But in this matchup, I'm still taking Doug. I think he's gonna win. I think it'll be closer than the projections give it. But I'm gonna go with Doug in this one because I don't see it right now on your team, Kingston. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Romer.
I get the tiebreaker vote then, huh?
You get the tiebreaker vote.
I like it. All right, I'll start with Kingston's team. I don't know how I feel about Juju right now. I don't know who's going to play quarterback in Pittsburgh. I don't know if Mason is good to go next week or not, but it's obviously not a good sign. And he's been producing without him, usually in big play situations. But I think I'm not feeling super confident about him. Cook's also kind of a boomer bust guy, but I think he has opportunity in San Fran, and I think that might be somewhat of a shootout. So I think he'll produce that game. And DJ Chark has been just a big surprise this year.
Yeah, DJ Chark's been good.
Say, he's got a connection with Minshew Magic. So my only fear there is whoever Marcus Lattimore covers is in trouble. So if that's Chark, I don't expect big things from him. If that's Dede, I don't expect big things from him. So that's a big matchup to watch out for. Kamara is obviously great. Kittle, last week was the buy low opportunity on Kittle. I think, he's going to be a stud rest of the season, as he should be. And going to Doug's team, like Kingston said, I think Doug's team is a good 1-4 team. Had some bad draws here recently, but he's always a dangerous person to play because you never know when he will blow up. Fuller, good matchup against KC. Obviously went through what he did last week, but you can do half of that or a third of that. That's pretty good for him. Woods, he's been doing all right. Landry, same thing. I do love Chris Carson. I think Chris Carson's really good outside of his fumbling issues. I think he's night and day better than Rashad Penny. So I expect big things from like I said, I hate the New England running backs, but Sony has been doing well lately, going against the Giants tonight. So I think we'll see some good things from him. But it could be a James White game. Who knows? Kelsey's obviously a stud. David Johnson's a stud coming on, going against the weak Atlanta defense. And I do like Doug's pick of Chase Edmonds. Being the DJ owner, Edmonds had some good touches this previous week. I think he might carve out a little bit of a role, just if they want to keep DJ fresh here or there, and just a good handcuff at the end of the day. But I will say I'll go with Beers with Rosas. I think they're a strong 1-4 team. I think they're going to come out on top, and they're a dangerous team at the end of the day. The record doesn't indicate that, but they got some playmakers.
All right. So we skipped this on the last matchup. I'm going to actually go ahead and ask Romer to give me a dud on this matchup. Dud of the week. Dud of this matchup.
Dud of this matchup? I'll go Miles Sanders.
Okay.
Not a big fan of the guy. Like I said, I think Doug Peterson made an effort or came out and said he might want to give Jordan Howard a little bit more touches. Don't know if that's just coach speak, but Minnesota's got a decent run D. It just, I don't know. I wouldn't trust them.
Okay. So you're gonna go with Miles Sanders.
Yep.
All right. Kingston, give me a sleeper in this game.
I'm going to go, James is going to hate this answer, but I'm going to go Preston Williams.
Preston Williams,
okay. Yeah, he's going against a Washington defense that is leaky. I think that is the ipso facto, I think mentioned before, Bunn's real game of the week. So I could see a lot of points. I could see a struggle. Maybe they struggle to score. I don't know what's going to give. I'd imagine it'll probably be the defenses that will be struggling. So I could see a good number of targets this week. I could see for sure maybe a touchdown. I could see maybe 6 catches for 85, 90 yards and a touchdown at least. And I could see maybe even a little more. So we'll see. I don't know. I know watching them a couple weeks ago, they like to feed Parker a lot. So, but I think there's going to be a lot of targets to go around in this game.
All right. And then I'm going to go with the stud of this matchup. And Romer, to answer the question from earlier, Devlin Hodges will be starting for Pittsburgh this weekend. Rookie Devlin Hodges.
All right, my sleeper is Juju Smith-Schuster then.
Oh, Devlin Hodges. Why didn't you say that earlier?
I didn't realize Devin was playing.
Gotta change it up.
For the week too?
No, I was just mentioning that because you were talking about it earlier. So I'm gonna go with my stud of the week, and it's not Juju. Come on, Devlin Hodges. He's not gonna do anything. My stud of this matchup is gonna be. I'm going to toss up, but I'm going to go with Chris Carson. Dude, where's my car, son? Dude, Chris Carson's great. Love Chris Carson. Everybody knows I love Chris Carson a couple years back. So I'm going to go with Chris Carson. All right, so with that being said, we only have a few matchups left. So we're going to transition here real quick. So we're going to transition into... Buns, game of the week. So we voted on this before we started shooting, and it was pretty obvious to everybody involved. It's going to be the Mike Bowl, Spark That Mike Bowl, MGM, Machine Gun Mike versus the Pied Piper, Mike Hauk. Going to give you the preview on this matchup. So Machine Gun Mike's 2-3 in 8th place. The Pied Piper is 2-3 in 10th place. It's projected 91.65 to 113.77 in a very low scoring matchup. We're going to switch it up on this one. Just real quick looking at this. Kingston, give me your sleeper in this matchup right off the jump.
My sleeper, I guess he's a starter. I don't know if he's going to be. I could see Michael Gallup having a big week.
Michael Gallup?
Yep.
Okay. Romer.
If you're just looking for some guy to really, I mean, he had a big week last week, I guess, but.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's perfect. Romer, give me your stud of this matchup.
Can I go dud?
You want to go dud? You could go dud if you like. Yeah, go right ahead. All right, that's fine.
I'm going to stick with the same game.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson. I think, Darnold is coming back this week, I guess, but to be honest, if I just had mono and a doctor told me that if I got hit hard enough, my spleen would explode and I would die, I probably wouldn't play the same quality football that I normally do. So I don't know if I necessarily trust him and his receivers yet. So I don't really love Robbie Anderson this week.
What's your take on this one?
Yeah. So I guess Mike did. Palermo did sneak out a win last week against Rocco, the 12th place team, in a week where his team was pretty anemic and Mike Thomas put up 40 plus. I think Philip Lindsay had a decent week. Otherwise, not very impressive. His team's pretty anemic, as you mentioned. His tight end is not playing, and he has no backup currently. And
he plays Thursday night.
His starting defense has a bye with no one else to fill in, and his bench is pretty disappointing. You've got Yeldon on a bye. Deion Lewis is nothing special. Antonio Callaway, he's got that Cleveland love. Ty Montgomery, I don't know why he's still holding on to. Maybe holding out hope that his starting running back goes down. And Gus Edwards, he just spent pretty handsomely on trying to get in free agency. So,
how much did he spend on Gus Edwards? Does anybody know?
I don't know how much he spent actually, but I think he was a pretty big pickup. Maybe not. Maybe I'm lying, or I'm forgetting that one. But either way, I think Houck wins by default. Unless Palermo really picks it up and finds some value in free agency. His running backs are solid. Curtis Samuel, we just acquired. He could have a big week. Who knows? Maybe the short week for him, having to move his team over to Houck and his family over. It could be hard. Stephon Diggs has been a big disappointment this year, as we all know. The media knows. Brady's been having a good year, and the Patriots themselves are having a good year. And Galladay, I think Green Bay's defense is better than probably maybe these projected points are giving them credit for. I think Galladay hitting 13 points or plus points is a very good week for him. So this would be, or not for him, but at least in this matchup. So I don't know. I think it'll be closer than I think it'll be. I don't think Houck wins by more than 10. I think Palermo is able to keep it close, but I also think Palermo doesn't break 100. So we'll see. I like Houck in this, but Palermo's got to get his shit together.
Well, so he's got Evan Ingram, who's out again. I fucked up. He's playing Thursday night too, so if he doesn't change him shortly, this game is tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
So he's playing tonight. He's playing like real soon.
Yeah, probably in a few hours.
He's not going to be able to change it.
They're already in New England.
They're warming up on the
Probably
field. Danny Dimes stretching his arms, dropping dimes. So we've got Kingston taking Houck. And Romer, what's your opinion on this one?
Well, I just wanted to say that Kingston using the word anemic in this podcast is, just very educating our viewers here, just using some big vocabulary words. So props to you for that. But yeah, I think, Palermo's team is just not very good right now. Michael Thomas is a beast, so obviously he's going to do well. And Rodgers at home versus Detroit could be a good matchup. But Allison has been, I expected big things from MVS and Allison last week.
Me too.
It was the Aaron Jones show. So if Devontae Adams does come back, I don't see Allison really doing anything. I do agree that Gallup could have a solid week. Bell has actually got a little tidbit here, only been averaging 2.9 yards per carry since week 2 and has not found the end zone since week 1. So not been having the best season so far for a second-round pick. And, with Ingram not playing, and I don't see a backup tight end in his roster currently, so that's not good. And he's got Buffalo Dean, which is also on a bye week. So he's got 2 players projected 0 points right now. So he's got to make some last-minute moves to salvage that. But, and then, Houck's team is, it's not great, but, to Kingston's point, they'll probably win by default. Brady's solid. I do think Diggs will bounce back against a weak Philly pass defense. Don't love Anderson, like I said, but I do like Galladay. I think Packers D is good, but they're kind of turnover-based. And so I think they do give up big plays like they did to Amari Cooper last week. So Galladay is definitely Matthew Stafford's favorite target in the end zone. As a Marvin Jones owner, drives me crazy. And, Chubb, I think, is solid. Yeah, the Curtis Samuel, Carlos Hyde trade, no one's really talking about it. It's not a huge move. 2 desperate teams making some trying to improve their teams, but we'll see. I know he's been a disappointment this year, but he is going against the Bucs, and maybe he delivers. But yeah, I think overall, I got Houck winning.
Okay, so taking Houck as well. So looking at this matchup, I completely agree. Evan Ingram's going to be playing in just a couple minutes here. You know, they're about to be kicking off, I think. So I don't know what he's going to do. So we're all taking Mike Houck in this matchup. So that leaves us with 2 more matchups left to go in this episode. BroBanter, represented by the KooGZacrate and Kronic, and Monster Energy. Drink one, bitches. We have the Daddy Longlegs versus the Lone Star Regime. First place versus 5th place. Projected 106 Daddy Longlegs to 129 Lone Star Regime. We're going to let Romer talk last, obviously. Kingston, let's hear what you have to say in your weigh-in on this one.
So I think this is going to be a good matchup. James has got a tough week here because I think he's got, he's got Waller on a bye. He's got he invested a little too heavily in Oakland players. Tyrell Williams on a bye. T.Y. Hilton's on a bye, and he has 2 Dolphins starting, and Joe Mixon is just not living up to the potential that people thought. And he's got Auden Tate in here for the Cincy. I know Steve will say, "Oh, he went to FSU," but I don't know if that helps him here. You know, I think James is a little too depleted right now to compete, and Romer has been I don't want to say surprise, but coming from the bottom the last 2 years, he put together a really nice team, balanced. I think Josh Gordon actually has a good week this week. I know he's kind of been quiet. He's had a couple solid weeks, but I could see him putting up a big week against the Giants this week. And Godwin's been solid. Jones obviously has been solid. Lamar Jackson's been great, and I think Lamar's going to have another big week against Cincy. But I think across the board he's got a lot of good. And Disley was a nice find. So I think he's quite talented, and you have a pretty good bench too, with Barber and a couple other good filling guys, Jones, Freeman, not necessarily studs, but it's bye-week fill-ins or what it needs to be. So I think you got a good team, Romer. I think you're deservedly in first, and I think you take it down this week and shut down the Daddy Longlegs. So it'll be good to shut James up.
Absolutely, it always is. So you're going to take the Lone Star Regime. I'm going to completely agree. I like your team a lot. You finally, not in the basement. It's been a while. How does it feel getting out of the basement for the first time, Romer?
Feels good. It's kind of lonely at the top now, though. So bittersweet.
Bittersweet. All right. All right, so it says bittersweet. I'm going to take you as well, Romer. I think your team is very good top to bottom, very consistent. A lot of good players. Will Disley, great pickup. Julio Jones, I thought he was going to follow me in the draft, or I was hoping he would. That didn't work out. Ended up with Odell, who's been a complete disappointment. So I'm going to take you, Romer. I think you're going to shut James up as well. Romer?
Yeah, well, I personally agree with all those. Appreciate all the kind words, guys. Going into the spider web this week, always an easy place to play. Very horrible home crowd, no fan base whatsoever. So just kind of a cakewalk whenever you walk into the web. But yeah, I think he's got Watson against KC, so that has the potential to be a shootout. Cooper's been lighting it up, but I gotta feel like you gotta put some attention on him at this point. Make Gallup, make Cobb beat you, so maybe they give him a little bit more attention and he doesn't do as well as he has. And then you have Jags like, Tate and Parker and Kenyon Drake, and the guy spent like $35 for Gerald Everett this week. I mean, that's just a desperation move from the waiver wire. He's got Coleman back, so, there could be big things there, but Brees has been playing well, so that's a split backfield at his best. So we'll see about that. And I like my team a lot. I think, to Kingston's point, I think Gordon does have a bounce back week against the Giants. More sets out. It's priming up for a big game for him. And then Godwin's been unreal. And then, I think Kerryon Johnson actually is going to have a really big game. Detroit coming off a bye week. Packers, although they have a good defense, the run defense has been the biggest issue. I was definitely scared to see last week, but luckily due to the game script, he was kind of not as big of an impact as I would have thought. But I think Carry-On comes out strong this game. I got to consider benching the Chargers defense, though, now that I know that Devlin Hodges is playing. The guy's absolutely, he's money, and that's going to be a tough matchup for this Chargers defense. So might have to reevaluate that defensive choice. But I think overall, I get the job done this week.
All right, so everybody's clearly on Romer's side of this one. All right, so matchup of the week. Let's let Romer call this one. Romer?
Okay, yeah. So, we got the legal drug pushers versus Sub-Zero. Two teams that I think probably have maybe the most combined points together. Steve's definitely leading the pack there. Eric was definitely that top team early on that, everyone was scared of, and kind of tempered down a little bit with, Sammy Watkins coming down to earth a little bit, and Hopkins kind of not playing up to par. And I think Patrick Mahomes only has 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games, so he kind of cooled down. So I think he gets back on track at home against Houston from Eric's perspective. Really like Larry Fitzgerald in this game, actually. Going against, a really banged up Atlanta defense. Kyler Murray, as I said earlier, I think he's kind of coming on board a little bit more. So I think Larry is going to have a sneaky good game here. And Jones having those 4 TDs last week obviously won't repeat something like that. But I think they're still going to have to rely on Jones with Adams being, questionable for this game. And Sutton's actually had a decent season so far. So that's a good flex guy for Eric. And then you got Sub-Zero. DJ Moore, I think he'll have an okay game, actually. Another fun stat. So Kyle Allen, actually, since week 2, has the best red zone passer rating in the NFL. So
Really?
Kyle Allen really stepping up. Cam Newton out again. So QB controversy in Carolina, I don't know. Dede, if he goes against Lattimore, like I said earlier, he's toast. But if not, I think he might have a decent week. He's actually been playing better these couple of weeks. And then McCaffrey's just been an absolute monster. By far the best fantasy player this year. Giving all our white guys some props out there. So good for him. But I think overall, I'm going to give it to Eric. I think, I like Eric's team, and I think he's got some big playmakers, and I don't know if McCaffrey and Eckler can continue at the pace they are. So if they come down to earth even a little bit, I think the LDP's got an edge.
Okay. LDP's got an edge. Kingston?
Yeah, I will say I agree. I think Eric's going to take down a close one. I think to Romery's point, Kyle Allen's stat, I'll say I love seeing all these backup quarterbacks. Not that I like seeing backup quarterbacks play, but seeing them step in and their teams just aren't complete trash. They're able to still run the offense. We've already seen Allen, Minshew, Rudolph to an extent. They're still winning games. And guys are just stepping right up and being able to, and even, I don't know if Daniel Jones counts, but even Daniel Jones has come in and been very good. So
what about Teddy Bridgewater?
It's nice seeing these guys come in, step up, and you're not seeing too much of a drop off or too much of a struggle because, you like seeing the new faces and seeing competitive games. You don't want to just see blowouts because backup quarterbacks are playing. So to that point, I think Moore's been playing well. Like you said, Allen's been playing well. Moore, Westbrook. I think Steve weak spot is clearly a receiver. And Eckler now with Gordon back, he's going to be sharing a lot of carries. It's going to be tough to keep up at the pace he was going. I think that was an early round steal for Steve, but now that Gordon's back, it's going to be hard. And Hardman could see some good opportunities depending on if Watkins plays or if Hill plays. I could see him having a pretty big game against Houston in what should be a shootout. And same with Matt Ryan. I could see him having a pretty nice game. He's got a couple buys. Obviously, his rarely starting running back, Josh Jacobs. Steve seems to be throwing him on the bench whenever he feels like scoring a couple touchdowns. But obviously, Steve has some good starting running backs, so he has some tough decisions to make there. But Don't blame him. And then I'll say, Romer, you mentioned Sammy Watkins blowing up that first week. I am very surprised how much he's dropped off since then.
I agree.
Because 9 catches for 3 touchdowns is huge, especially in an offense that puts up so many points. I remember, obviously they've been in a few since, but there was a stat not long ago that was like every game Mahomes started, they put up at least 28 points or something like that, except obviously when they lost last week to Indy. So I'm surprised of the drop-off, especially with Hill being out. But other guys have stepped up, and Mahomes likes to spread the ball around. There's no shortage of mouths to feed, I guess. So we'll see if he plays. Right now he's questionable. And I think it doesn't really matter, though, for Eric because he has such solid starters with Hopkins. Fitz is just a consistent guy. And his running backs are just unreal value where he got them. He's a very good team, and Mahomes is obviously always lighting it up. So I like Eric, but I think it'll be a close game. And I think, like you said, that they're both high-scoring teams. So should be a good one. I think this is a great game of the week, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a shootout back and forth. Third place versus fourth place. 2 very solid teams. I also take Eric. I love Eric's team. I loved it when he drafted it. I still love it. I think he's going to be part of the bye week dinner with Romer. As I called last week, I'm sticking to it. Those are my bye week dinner early predictions. So I'm taking Eric as well. So Romer.
Yes.
So who are your early predictions for the bye week dinner? You son of a bitch.
Sorry, what do you ask the question?
So who are your early just predictions for the bye week dinner this year? Even though there is no bye week dinner.
Yeah. I'll go with myself because I gotta have faith in the squad, and we're rolling on all cylinders right now, and always confident in my team. So I'm gonna say myself, and then I'll stick with Steve. Steve just scored a ton of points so far. New England defense might be the second best player after Christian McCaffrey. I think Eckler still has a role. I think DJ Metcalf's coming on a little bit. Once he gets Josh Jacobs rocking and rolling, which he's a bye week this week, Benston last week, he poured up against Chicago. I think he's going to be a staple in that Oakland offense. So he's got a little work on his receivers, but I think he's got enough to get by. And so I'll go me and Steve.
Okay, so you're going to take yourself and Steve. Kingston, your early predictions for the bye week dinner?
I like Eric a lot. I think his team, even though he's kind of fallen behind a little bit in the standings, I think he's going to, with the win this week, he's going to string a few together, and he's going to end up being toward the top. And I'm going to go Romer as the other. I'll give him his credit. I think he's built a good team. And I think those two are going to be up there at the top at the end. If I were to, I'm going to change it up a little bit, throw a sleeper, maybe a bottom half team that could be up there.
Okay.
I could see Matt making a run.
Really?
He crossed my mind.
Yeah.
He's definitely cheesing over this probably. But
Let's see if he watches it this far.
I like Russell Wilson's been playing out of his mind. Obviously, he's got a couple buys, but if he's got AJ Green possibly coming back, he might be traded, but he might be coming back soon.
He might not come back.
He might not, but
I don't think he's going to come back.
Still, you never know. If we're picking lower teams to make a run.
Okay, all right. So taking Matt. Romer, are you agreeing with that as well?
Yeah, I think from if we're talking sleeper perspective, yeah, Matt could slide in there if he gets on a roll here, and I think his team is set up where he potentially could.
Okay.
If I had to pick another one, just to pick another one, I think Matt's the good candidate. I don't.
Yeah, you don't have to dilute it.
All right. Well, I'm obviously going to go with myself. We're picking a sleeper. Because we're playing Matt, or honestly, it would probably be whoever wins this matchup has a good chance of doing it between me and Matt this week. But I just want to change it up. So, Romer brought up something earlier. he wanted to bring up the nuts team, as he called it. So, Robert, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, so I think it's just instead of going through sleepers and everything from all the matchups, it's who do you think is going to be maybe not necessarily the QB1, the RB1, the wide receiver one, but just guys that are going to, maybe you're not thinking about that are going to do really, really good this week, whether it's matchup, if they're playing well or whatnot. So just one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end. So I guess I'll just lead it off real quick.
Okay.
Cougs, you'll like this one. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a huge game this week. Like I said, I think he had a good week last week. At home, playing Atlanta. I think they just got their first win, so I think they're going to keep that momentum. He's going to run the ball a little bit more, and I think that's just he's a guy that you'll see in the top 3 maybe for quarterbacks this week.
Okay.
From a running back perspective,
do I do like each?
I have him on my team, but he's playing against my real team is Kerryon Johnson.
Okay.
Coming off the bye week, going against the weak Green Bay running defense. I think they're going to have to control the clock and really rely on the run game if they want to win that game Monday night. From a wide receiver perspective, really love, honestly, both the Minnesota wide receivers. Philly, really poor pass defense. They've been pitching to get the ball. They made an effort last week. I think they could continue that effort this week. So Diggs and Thielen are going to have big weeks, in my opinion. And then tight end, Cougs, it's going to bite you in the ass. I think Austin Hooper. Arizona is probably the worst against tight ends. Again, I think that game's going to be a shootout. So I think he's going to be heavily involved with a lot of focus being around Julio. Calvin Ridley had a big game last week. So he's the guy that, if I'm in Arizona, I'm going to make Hooper beat me versus some of those other big playmakers.
Okay. So it sounds like Roman already had a whole team ready to go. I was kind of just like figuring it out as I was.
It was my idea. I had to come prepared.
You came prepared, my friend. So me and KooGZ are going to do a little bit differently because I don't know how prepared he was for this as well. KooGZ, do you have a full team?
I do.
You have a full squad? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you, I guess. I will say Romer dug a little deeper in the player pool for his picks. Mine were a little more kind of softballs, but
okay.
I could, whatever you want to do, I could throw mine out or.
I was going to say, let's just both name ours for each position. Like, I'll go quarterback, you take quarterback. We'll go back and forth.
Oh. All right, let's do it.
So, one of my sleepers from earlier in the matchups is Philip Rivers. I'm going to go with Philip Rivers. He's going to have a big week this week. Keenan Allen's going to have a big week this week. So, I'm going to go with Philip Rivers. Kingston?
Okay, I like the other side of the matchup Romer discussed, and that's Matt Ryan. I think he can put up some big numbers in this, and I like that matchup against Arizona.
Okay. So I'm gonna then jump to my wide receiver being Keenan Allen. Same, quarterback to wide receiver combo. I think Keenan Allen has a big week this week as well.
Okay. I'm gonna go a guy I mentioned that I think is gonna have a kind of a not breakout week, but a big week. Josh Gordon. I think he's gonna play well.
I like it. All right. So who would your running back be?
My running back, I really like Mark Ingram this week against Cincinnati. I think he could have the potential to go over 100 yards and possibly even like 3 touchdowns. I could see. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Christian McCaffrey. He's just a stud. He's been running all over everybody this year, doing everything.
Really went out on a limb on that one.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I'm just making it up as I'm going along here. But hey, I like him. He's a good player. He's been an absolute monster. And tight end, I really am not sure. I'm gonna go with.
Evan Ingram.
Huh? Yeah, Evan Ingram again. Even though he's out again. I'll put that at the end. I'm gonna go with Jimmy Graham Monday night.
Okay.
Gonna have a big week for Eric this week.
That's an interesting choice because he could use the potential to not even have a catch.
Oh, 100%.
Just like Evan Ingram.
Yeah. Okay. Mine is a lot more chalk on this one. I think Travis Kelce has a huge week. in what will be a shootout with Houston, or what should be anyway. And especially with their top two receivers and Watkins, maybe he's the top two receiver, and Hill potentially not playing. I could see Kelsey getting a ton of targets in this game, in what should be a lot of points. So I like Kelsey a lot.
Yeah, watch out for Gerald Everett this week. No, I'm kidding. That's trash. He's not doing anything.
How much did he pay for him again? Right.
And went back to questionable, so I set my lineup in advance so I can keep him. Because he'll probably go back to out, but
okay.
I didn't.
Dude, I mean, $25 for Gerald Everett. That's like definitely the worst one, right?
Yeah. Maybe we just spend this segment just shitting on James, like his moves and stuff.
We could do that too.
Or the fact that he had 2 Cincinnati running backs.
Classic James.
Yeah, he had Gio and dropped him to pick up Gerald Everett for $25.
Dude, Romer, what about Trey Carson, dude?
I'm a Jamal Williams owner, dude. No. You pick him up.
Yeah, that was actually my Buns pickup. Was Trey Carson. Yeah.
Dude, when Aaron Jones gets hurt, that's
whoa.
Dude, it happens every year. It's always gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Romer knows I'm right.
I know Jamal Williams is the next in line, dude. I don't think that injury was as bad as we originally thought.
For Jamal Williams?
Like, the guy was, I think he was back practicing and stuff. Like,
I don't know, dude. I don't know. All right, so my worst pickup of the week is Gerald Everett. He paid way too much money for him. And my best pickup is going to be Gardner Minshew. I love the stash. Dude's a player. I think he's going to have a big week. Big Minshew fan. So, Romer?
Yeah, I mean, Gerald Everett, by far the worst pickup of the week. I mean, I don't know what the next bid was. I think it was $5, $6, something like that. So,
it was $4.
But that he's going to use for literally 1 week.
$6.
He does have a decent Darren Waller. So, Everett, definitely a bad pickup. So, definitely that one. And then for a good pickup, I said this earlier, I like the Chase Edmonds pickup. I think he's a guy that, for Arizona, that might carve out a little bit of a role. If DJ goes down, he's definitely going to be the guy. So if there is an injury, he's a RB2, low end RB2 potentially. So I like the Edmonds pickup, and he handcuffs him for Doug. So good situation for them.
Great situation. Kingston?
Yeah, I will say Keegan. I'm Gardner Minshew was my pickup. I appreciate that. He's probably not going to be starting. I'm going to be starting Dak against the Jets. But he's definitely earned a job, or at least a 53-man or 15-man roster bid. Especially with Baker was just underperforming like crazy and talking trash, and he just needs to stay out of the media. So I think it was a good move. I'd say my pickup of the week though, Rex Burkhead by Pied Piper. I think he is one of the least talked about guys in our league that we need to be talking about more. and I think I'll start it right now. We need to talk about Rex Burkhead more. Unfortunately, he was released a few hours later, but it's okay. He's gonna find a home.
I feel so bad.
We'll be raving about it.
Dude.
Yeah, he's had to move his family all over. He's been bounced around. He's been traded twice. He's been released in 24 hours. It's been a tough run, and he deserves better. He's a good guy. And then I think
What?
I was just going to say that, no one understands life outside of the football. And, he's got a wife, he's got some kids, and he's constantly moved to different areas, to different teams, and getting his hopes up that he can fulfill his dream of, playing in the SFL, and he keeps getting shot down and getting that bad call, going to the owners in the coach's office and hearing the bad news over and over. So, I'm just looking out for the kid. He's a good guy. I've met him personally. Haven't rostered him because I like to win games in fantasy football, contrary to my last 2 years.
All right.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And I'd say the worst pickup of the week was absolutely Gerald Everett.
Oh, I mean, it's not even close. All right, so my worst pickup of the week is Gerald Everett. He paid way too much money for him. And my best pickup is going to be Gardner Minshew. I love the stash. Dude's a player. I think he's going to have a big week. Big Minshew fan. So, Romer?
Yeah, I mean, Gerald Everett, by far the worst pickup of the week. I mean, I don't know what the next bid was. I think it was $5, $6, something like that. So,
it was
over, but that he's going to use for literally 1 week.
$6.
He does have a decent Darren Waller. So, Everett, definitely a bad pickup. So, definitely that one. And then for a good pickup, I said this earlier, I like the Chase Edmonds pickup. I think he's a guy that, for Arizona, that might carve out a little bit of a role. If DJ goes down, he's definitely going to be the guy. So if there is an injury, he's a RB2, low end RB2 potentially. So I like the Edmonds pickup, and he handcuffs him for Doug. So good situation for them.
Great situation. Kingston?
Yeah, I will say Keegan. Gardner Minshew was my pickup. I appreciate that. He's probably not going to be starting. I'm going to be starting Dak against the Jets. But he's definitely earned this job, or at least a 53-man or 15-man roster bid. Especially with Baker was just underperforming like crazy and talking trash, and he just needs to stay out of the media. So I think it was a good move. I'd say my pickup of the week though, Rex Burkhead by Pied Piper. I think he is one of the least talked about guys in our league that we need to be talking about more. and I think I'll start it right now. We need to talk about Rex Burkhead more. Unfortunately, he was released a few hours later, but it's okay. He's gonna find a home.
I feel so bad.
We'll be raving about it.
Dude.
Yeah, he's had to move his family all over. He's been bounced around. He's been traded twice. He's been released in 24 hours. It's been a tough run, and he deserves better. He's a good guy. And then I think Bunt.
What?
I was just going to say that, no one understands life outside of the football. And, he's got a wife, he's got some kids, and he's constantly moved to different areas, to different teams, and getting his hopes up that he can fulfill his dream of, playing in the SFL, and he keeps getting shot down and getting that bad call, going to the owners in the coach's office and hearing the bad news over and over. So, I'm just looking out for the kid. He's a good guy. I've met him personally. Haven't rostered him because I like to win games in fantasy football, contrary to my last 2 years. It's just my heart goes out to him, the Burkheads.
All right.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And I'd say the worst pickup of the week was absolutely Gerald Everett.
Oh, I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah. I think he's way overpaid, and I think he's gonna put up a dud this week, and he's probably better off starting Darren Waller. Anyway, so
you're saying Everett's gonna get negative points this week?
That's what I have for this week.
All right. We went over all the matchups, and James, your team's trash, dude. Team's garbage. Hot garbage. Someone throw a trash emoji in there. So is there any other things that you guys want to talk about or mention or bring up?
Not me.
No, thanks for having us, Koogs. It's 1-2, should be a good week. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
I agree. Romer, it's nice having you both on the show, Alex and Ryan Romer. Anything to say before we sign out?
Peace.
Yeah.
See you. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week. Hope you enjoyed.